I get it, you scroll through a sea of gaming towers that promise ultra-fast frames and future-proof specs, only to end up with a machine that sputters when you finally fire up the latest AAA title. The frustration is real, especially when you've already set aside a decent chunk of cash and you're left wondering if you just bought a glorified paperweight. That's why I'm digging into the Lenovo Legion T7i 5090 today, trying to separate the hype from the stuff that actually matters once you plug it in. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the Legion T7i isn't a one-size-fits-all gaming PC. It's built around Intel's newest Core Ultra 9285K, a 24-core beast that, on paper, should handle anything from 4K shooters to heavy video editing workloads. Pair that with NVIDIA's GeForce RTX 5090, 32GB of GDDR5 memory, and a massive 2TB SSD, and you've got a machine that looks ready to dominate. But the real test is how those parts play together in a typical bedroom or home office setup. If you're someone who spends most evenings on titles like Cyberpunk 2077, Starfield, or the latest Battlefield, the T7i's raw horsepower will be evident almost immediately. Load times on the SSD are practically non-existent. A fresh install of a 100GB game finishes in under 10 minutes, and the jump from menu to gameplay feels instant. In my own test runs, the RTX 5090 kept frame rates comfortably above 100 frames per second at 1440p ultra settings, and even at 4K you still hovered around 7080 frames per second on the most demanding scenes. That translates to smooth, buttery gameplay without the constant dip that forces you to dial back settings. For streamers who also edit footage, the 64GB of DDR5 RAM means you can have your game, OBS, and a video editor open simultaneously without the system begging for more memory. The real differentiator, though, is the liquid cooling solution Lenovo has slotted in. Many high-end towers rely on massive air coolers that can be noisy or take up space, but the T7i's closed-loop cooler keeps the Core Ultra chip under 70 degrees even under sustained load. In a practical sense, that means you can leave the PC running for marathon gaming sessions or overnight rendering without worrying about thermal throttling or an annoying fan whine that leaks into your microphone. The cooler is also fairly quiet. You'll barely notice it until you're in a quiet room and the occasional pump hum is the only sound. Connectivity is another area where the Legion T7i shines for real-world use. It sports 3 DisplayPort 1.4 outputs and an HDMI 2.1 port, so you can drive a triple-monitor rig for an immersive cockpit experience, or hook up a 4K TV for couch gaming without needing a dongle. Wi-Fi 6 ensures low-latency online play, and the inclusion of Ethernet is a welcome nod to competitive gamers who still prefer a wired connection. On the USB side, there are plenty of Type A and Type C ports for peripherals, VR headsets, and external storage. All of that means you won't be hunting for adapters or fighting for bandwidth once you add a capture card or external SSD. Now, who should actually consider buying this machine? If you're a serious PC gamer who already owns a high-refresh monitor, or if you're a content creator who needs a workstation that can handle both gaming and heavy rendering without a second PC, the T7i lands in the sweet spot. Its combination of top-tier CPU, flagship GPU, and massive RAM puts it ahead of most pre-built options at a comparable price point, especially when you factor in the liquid cooling that would otherwise be an aftermarket upgrade. The value also comes from the fact that Lenovo ships Windows 11 Pro, so you get the professional features like BitLocker encryption and advanced group policies right out of the box, which can be handy if you're also using the machine for work. On the flip side, there are clear reasons to walk away. First, the price tag is still firmly in the premium range, so if you're a casual gamer who mostly sticks to esports titles or indie games, you'll be paying for horsepower you'll never fully tap. The T7i is also a fairly large tower. It won't slip under a small desk without some careful planning, and the case isn't exactly designed for silent operation in a bedroom while the cooler is quiet. The case fans still spin up under load, which could be noticeable if you sleep with the PC in the same room. Finally, the system is fairly locked down in terms of future upgrades. While you can add more storage, the GPU and CPU are soldered to the motherboard, meaning you'll eventually hit a ceiling sooner than you would with a DIY build that lets you swap out components piece by piece. One practical weakness I observed is the cable management inside the chassis. Lenovo does provide a decent routing system, but because the liquid cooler and the GPU take up a lot of space, the internal layout feels cramped. If you're the type who likes to keep everything neat for airflow, you might spend extra time tidying up or even consider a custom cable sleeve solution.